All right. Good morning, AIDB Nation. Good morning, AIDB Nation. Welcome to Convocation 2024, the great AIDB game show. We are excited to welcome you all back to campus and to kick off a great new year. Please join me in welcoming those who go above and beyond to support AIDB. Members of the AIDB Board of Trustees, Clarence Haynes. Thank you, Clarence. Ron Garrett and his wife, Joan. Philip Brown and wife, Diane. Jackie Smith and wife, Doris. Chip Dobbs. Jake Montgomery, former member of the AIDB Board of Trustees. Mr. Steve Hurst, our state representative. Mike Royer, president of the AIDB Foundation Board of Directors. And Debbie Gilliam, AIDB First Lady. Likewise, we're honored that Donnie Miller, our chamber chair, is with us today. And Derek Swanson, our new city manager. Now, please join me in inviting Mr. Philip Brown, a member of the AIDB Board of Trustees, to the stage for the invocation.
Good morning. Would you bow with me, please? Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for your love and your compassion on each of us as mere humans on this great planet we call Earth. We thank you for your creative ability and your love that you've bestowed upon each of us for being here at this time in this place. Father, we ask your special blessings upon this institution and all of the lives that it touches, and we thank you so much for the talent and the ability that you have granted so many individuals who teach here and the administration that runs this place. Father, we ask that you just continue to bless them, continue to bless the students that have come and have grown and have been blessed by the work that's done. Father, as we start on this new school year, we ask that you would just oversee this great place. Continue to make it a place where young minds can be sheltered, protected, and yet grow and learn. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
So now I would like to welcome to the stage Clara Selsey, a rising ninth grader at the Alabama School for the Blind, to sing our national anthem. Clara.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof
Thank you, Clara. That was truly beautiful and a great reminder of why we're all here. Truly limitless. Thank you. Now, it is my pleasure to welcome to the stage Mr. Ronnie Garrett, a member of the Alabama Institute for Deaf and Blind Board of Trustees, to officially welcome you to Convocation 2024.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome. There's nothing like following the Reverend Philip Brown in a prayer and Clara singing the national anthem. It's probably going to be a come down from there. I do want to welcome everybody back, especially our new staff. I think we have a lot of new staff. We have a lot of people standing in the back of the room today. Really have a full house. When I think about AIDB, I always remember Manning Hall. It's very hard to conceive that in 1858, AIDB started in that one building. And look where it's grown since then. For all of our staff, I want to say that all jobs are important. No matter what your role, your challenge is to serve the students and clients that we have to the very best of all of our ability. I want to close with a couple of quotes. One of them is going to be a little bit out of context from The Tale of Two Cities. It is a far, far better thing that I do than I've ever done before. And I'm going to change the context of that entirely to say it is a far, far better thing that we do than we've ever done in this upcoming year. And finally, I want to say, quote Helen Keller, who said, "The best and most beautiful things cannot be seen or even heard, but must be felt from the heart." I encourage you to embrace your jobs here. You're working at the largest program of its kind, not only in the United States of America, but the world, from the cradle to the grave. I want to close by asking you to join me. We're going to do a little cheer here. Mine is going to be hip, hip, and yours is going to be hooray for AIDB. Hip, hip. Hip, hip. Hooray. I want to hear you next time. Hip, hip. Hooray. All right. AIDB is a place where miracles are wrought. Let's make them the biggest we've ever had this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garrett. So now we're ready to watch our colleagues face off in a battle of wits for the ultimate bragging rights. Victory in AIDB Says and the $100,000 pyramid. So our official celebrator, I thought she might be out by now. Wanda Deal is on hand to make sure we celebrate our victors. And next time, give it a little bit more, Wanda. And JJ is here with Moose to provide, there we go, to provide some emotional support to the teams that aren't quite so victorious. So we're about to begin.
Good morning. Let's get ready for AIDB Says. Team 1, Team 2, take your places. All right, teams, how are you? Good? Good? Well, welcome, everyone. Thank you. Well, welcome, everyone. In this game, Team 1 will be competing against Team 2 for a chance to win the ultimate in AIDB Says bragging rights. Before we get into the first round, I'm going to run through the rules for the people out there who don't know. The blanks go up, you take them down, 100 points every time you get a correct guess. Does that make sense? All right. Teams, you can work together to pick your answers. So we're going to start with Team 1. Please introduce yourselves and tell us what campus you work on.
Hey, my name is Stephanie, and I work as
And student life in the dorms.
Okay, let's play. I will read the question and you will have 20 seconds to pick an answer. You have a hint. The first letter of each answer is on the screen and on the sheets in front of you. All right, question 1. You have 20 seconds. What was the name of AIDB's first student? First letter S, second letter J. We have an answer? What do you say?
all right, we're ready.
Let's
yes,
go.
we have the answer. It is Seaborn. Last name is Johnson.
That is correct. Good job. All right, question number 2. You have 20 seconds. What is the name of the main building at E.H. Gentry facility? First letter G, second letter H. Ready? What is your answer?
Ryder Hall.
That is correct. Yay! All right, question number 3. You have 20 seconds. What does Alabama Industries for the Blind make that is worn by every branch of the military? One word. The letter is N. Are you ready? Share your answer. That is correct. Question number 4. You have 20 seconds. What is the most popular animal at the zoo? The first letter is E.
Elephant.
Elephant, that is correct. Question number 5. For 100 points, you have 20 seconds. What are the 2 SEC schools in Alabama? Time is ticking. This is a hard one, guys. I don't think they got it. You have an answer for me? That is correct. And we have our last question for Team 2. It's all on the line, you guys. What is an 8-sided shape called? You have 20 seconds. All right, you have an answer for me. What do you have? Octagon. That is correct. All right, our scorekeeper, how many points does Team 1 have? 600 points. Good job. So Team 2, now you know what score you have to beat. Before we begin your questions, please introduce yourselves and tell us what campus you work on. Okay, let's play. AIDB says, remember, you have to beat 600 points. Question number 1. What is the name of AIDB's 18th president? First letter is D. Second letter is G. It's pretty intense. You ready? What do we have? That is correct. Dr. Dennis Gilliam. Question number 2. You have 20 seconds. What is the name of AIDB's first building? You have an M and an H.
Manning Hall.
That is correct. Question number 3. Who founded AIDB?
Henry Joseph Johnson.
Oh. Walk, 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 walk. That answer is Dr. Joseph Henry Johnson. I'm sorry. You mixed up the names. You mixed it up. I'm sorry. That's a technicality. Maybe you all can redeem yourself with question number 4. How many noses does a slug have? Well, 4 is correct. Good job. Question number 5. Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa hangs in what museum?
No, I don't speak French.
The Louvre Museum.
That is correct. The last question. What is the only food that can never go bad? The letter is H. You have 20 seconds. Honey, that is correct. Good job, Team 2. How many points do they have? They have 500 points. Team 1 has a total of 600 points, and Team 2 has a total of 500 points. That means that Team 1 is victorious and have won certified AIDB says bragging rights. Moose, we're going to call you to the stage and give this team some emotional support as you exit the stage. Thank you so much.
Right, from Hollywood, Alabama, this is the $1,000 pyramid. Today's contestants are Kim Moon and Walt Alexander. For Team 1, Team 2, Kelly Park and Artesia Ritchie. All right, and I am your host, Antoine Miller. Woo! All right, welcome to the $100,000 pyramid, and yes, folks, it is that special time of year. It is Convocation. Right. First up, let's say hello to Team 1. Team 1, can you tell us where you work?
Walter Alexander, IT department.
Right. Team 2, can you tell us where you work?
Yes, Kelly Park, Human Resources.
Artesia Ritchie, I'm the president of AIDB. No, HR.
All right, Dr. Gilliam, watch her. All right, so thank you. Okay, teams, on each team, we will need one person who says hints to the other person to guess the word. Remember, you cannot say the actual word or you lose that round. Each correct guess is worth 100 points. All right, let's play. All right, Team 1, who will be the one telling the hints? All right, and Kim will be the guesser. All right, this first round of topics will be things seen at JTA. Things seen at JTA. So the hinter can look at the screen above or read the paper in the folder. You have 20 seconds for each word. If you hear a buzzer or get a hint, that means that your time is up and you will need to move on to the next word. All right, slides up.
Animal that lays eggs.
Chicken.
Animal we get milk from.
Cow.
Large green fruit.
Kiwi. No, watermelon. Watermelon.
Drive this on the farm.
Tractor.
Where we put the tractor when we're done with it.
At the barn.
Yes?
I read it.
Woo! All right, Team 1. All right, Team 2. Round 2. Great job for round 2. Your topic is going to be sandwiches.
Oh, I got this.
Oh,
Sandwiches.
sandwiches?
Oh. Things for school. Sorry. Things for school. Sorry. I'm hungry. I'm jumping up to lunch. Sorry. Stomach's rattling here. Things for school. Ready. And go. I'm sorry, Team 2. Hold off. My stomach is talking over my head, so I'm sorry. Team 1, you're going to go again for round 2, and this is things for school. Things for school. All right. Are you ready? All right, let's go.
Wear this to put your books in.
Backpack.
You write on this.
Paper.
This you cut the paper with.
Scissors.
You put all your papers in this type of book.
Notebook. Binder.
You drink from this.
A cup. Thermos.
Evian.
Mug.
Get this from the tap.
Water bottle.
Yes.
All right. All right, let me make sure I'm on the right page here. All right, so team 2, round 1. Your topics are going to be athletics at AIDB. Athletics
this.
at
We got this.
AIDB.
We got this.
Ready?
All right, you ready? Oh, the biggest sport in the South. Yeah, ma'am. Where your bodies get on the floor and you kind of roll around. Strength. This sport is very strength. They have a singlet that they wear. Yes. Woo, yes. Okay. Hoops, dribble. Basketball. Yeah, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Whoop. Ooh. Okay. No. This motor. I'm a motorcycle. This is so.
Are they giving you more time?
We don't do that.
That was hard. Oh, we're
Next
going.
one.
We're
Guess
going.
you're giving you more time.
Okay. ASB is very good at this. They play this a lot. You got to be really quiet. It's very serious. No, it's indoors. You whisper. It's kind of you got a team in the gym.
Time's up on that word. Next word. Oh, that's it for round 1. That was really close
Sandwiches.
there. With that description of Ryder Club, that was really close. All right. Okay, let's go. Round 2.
Where's the timer?
Sandwiches. Sandwiches.
Okay. Round two. All right.
Ready.
We got to show up. All right. Oh, this is the good stuff that melts on them.
Cheese.
Yes. Woo. Thank you, Wanda. This is the green stuff that's crunchy on it.
Lettuce.
Yes. Woo. This is peanut butter and
Jelly.
Willy. Yes. This is its own food group. I save it for when Moose visits. Me. I give it to him. No, it's meat. It's meat. It's on sandwiches.
Bacon.
Yes. Bacon. Okay, the red, they're great this time of year. You slice them and you put them on.
Tomato.
Yes, ma'am. Woohoo.
All right.
Hey.
Good job with the round 2. All right, sandwiches. All right, let's add up the scores. Team 1, 1,000. Team 2, 800 points. Moose, I think we need somebody to be comforted. Team 2. And we'll get our picture taken.
Sound into my mask.
So, in bold letters on my script, it says transition to speeches. I'm not quite sure how to transition after that, but let's give our candidates, our players, another round of applause, please. So last fall, Dr. Dennis Gilliam was named our 18th president of AIDB. AIDB has been part of Dr. Gilliam's life since childhood. He tells stories of falling asleep on the gym floor of the Alabama School for the Deaf while waiting on his parents to get off work, and then in his late teens of being part of the construction crew that renovated Manning Hall. I have it on good authority that at the time, Dr. Gilliam swore he would never walk into Manning Hall again. Well, the joke was on him because not only has Dr. Gilliam been a longtime employee of AIDB, he has worked out of Manning Hall most recently as Vice President of Instructional Programs before being named President. We are truly thankful for the energy, passion, and commitment to excellence that Dr. Gilliam has brought to his new role as President. It is my honor to invite Dr. Gilliam to the stage.
Good morning. Wow, this is a full house today, is it not? Well, I feel like some of the people that have spoken today, Mr. Garrett, Jessica, have been peeking at my speech for today. Let me just say, first of all, a great welcome to the folks that are in the room. I'll say a great welcome to and thanks to the Board of Trustees and their spouses who were able to make it. A welcome to the city and state leaders that have shown up today and made AIDB important as a part of your day. I will give a great thanks to you, AIDB employees, without which AIDB would not run. And a special thanks to the First Lady, who keeps me straight and tells me what to do more often than Amanda does. I will tell you that as I stand before you, as Jessica mentioned, this is the first time that I've been able to stand in front of you as the president of this great institution, and I will tell you it is a great, humbling experience to be here. It is an amazing place for our workers, our students, and our clients, and it is your mission to make AIDB the best she can possibly be. And you'll hear me so often say AIDB is a she because I think that this is a person, a treasure for us to recognize over time. When I think of AIDB, I don't think about a place to come to work. I think of a valued place, a person to be treasured and honored. So it is a great honor to come to work each and every day. And we need to be thinking about AIDB. Is it the AIDB of old? Probably not. But we need to be thinking about our future. And whether your future be 1 year from now or working 24 more years at AIDB, we just want you to know that it is not your mama's AIDB. Whether you think that is a positive or a negative, well, that truly depends on your perspective. This is something I continually remind myself about when I come to work in service to AIDB, my perspective. If you'll oblige me, I'll just talk a little bit about that and hopefully give you a little direction on why I think that way. I ask that sometimes you have to shift your perspective. Now, as Jessica mentioned, in 1988, that is exactly right, I spent days going in and out of Manning Hall. It was being renovated at the time, and I was going in and out of there, and I was excited. I'm going to tell you I was thrilled when I first walked in the building. I'm going to tell you why. It's because Joey Hutto and I spoke about this just the other day. I was previously baling hay at Camp Mac at 100-degree heat. I was happy to go into Manning Hall and start tearing down walls. I will tell you that it was so exciting as I went in and out, but then my excitement turned to apathy. The thrill of walking in the door, it actually started to change, and it was exceeded by the thrill of break time. I looked, and I was covered with soot and dust each and every day, and the day that I jumped in my car and rolled out of there, I thought to myself, whew, thank God I'll never have to walk in that building again. But I'll tell you that at that time, that was a skewed perspective for me to have. Because although I was building something, I was part of building something, my perspective was skewed. It was skewed, and it skewed my thinking, my experience, and my circumstance. None of those had anything to do with my purpose. I asked you also to have a clear vision. Most of us know that vision doesn't have anything to do with being sighted. It's having a vision for what you are doing or what you anticipate to accomplish. Those things are critical for success. Whether that be as the AIDB president, trying to weigh recommendations of which buildings to renovate at what time, or what programs to add or close, which are very difficult. But then think of the teachers that are planning what they outline and seeing what the classes are and seeing what they hope they will accomplish for that upcoming year. If we don't have a vision for what we're hoping to achieve, we are destined for mediocrity. And we'll have average work at best. It's the small things that make a difference. I will tell you that proverbial comments say that where there is no vision, there will be chaos. Let me just tell you, as a mathematician, there's something called chaos theory. Now, I'm not going to get into a math lesson, although a couple of people in the back might enjoy that. But I will tell you, in chaos theory, it is a significantly complex system, but it tells you that one small change can render everything into chaos. So, what could be better? Spiritual advice packed with mathematical concepts? Isn't that awesome? Keeping it simple and only doing the things that fulfill your mission is important. My point is, without vision, our students, staff, administration, and schools are all in danger of having a similar nature of chaos. So pay attention to the small things that can make a big difference. I ask that you consider yourself in competition. Now, that's not something that you think of a lot when you come to work at AIDB. And I will say that Ronald Reagan once said that status quo is Latin for that mess we find ourselves in. Now, I will say that I know that that's not really what status quo means, Amanda. I will say that I do know that it is, the previous statement means everybody at AIDB is responsible for this, that we do not remain in status quo. We started with the ideal of providing exemplary services to individuals who are deaf, blind, or deafblind. Dr. Johnson did not want to begin a school in Alabama for Seaborn, his brother who was deaf, so there would just be an okay place for him to go to school. Winning teams do not have phrases like play acceptably today or do adequately. Winning teams have championship mentalities. They play every day and strive to be the best every time they step on the field. Competitors look at their level of success and they know that it is judged by the quality of the performance that they had and the score that's on the board at the end of the game. How are you gauging your success? Although we know in theory there is no place like AIDB, we must continue to prove ourselves invaluable in those throughout the state and the region. Let's just be real. We know several residential schools for the deaf and blind across the nation are closing. That is due to desperately low numbers, and to me, this is a travesty. To combat this, I can think of no other significant way to prove our worth than to just simply be better than everybody else. We have to look at it. We have to have a better approach, a better staff, and a better environment at AIDB. My fellow employees, it is no longer good enough to say that it is simply going to be showing up to work. It is a mandate for us to do the best we can possibly do. We need to be the most comprehensive, quality program serving individuals who are deaf, blind, and deaf-blind across the nation. Our tagline is not deaf, blind, and kind of good. Our tagline is deaf, blind, and limitless. This is a goal that we have to strive for each and every day. I ask you all to be a light. Teachers know that when students come in their classroom, the most important factor to student behavior is that of the teacher. Think of many preschool and kindergarten teachers. The students come in with their smiles and giggly faces, and the teacher is just on the floor greeting them, smiling, sometimes in goofy little outfits. Those students love going to class. The lesson we can learn from those preschool and kindergarten teachers is one that is a welcoming environment. There's a verse in Hebrews that talks about the root of bitterness, and it can destroy a land if you allow it to continue. My challenge for you is to continue to spread a feeling of positivity amongst your students and your coworkers. Don't engage in the all-entertaining water cooler talk or festering discussions. Rather, be the one to step in and share a smile and a positive impact on someone. A simple kind of uplifting word can change somebody's outlook for the remainder of the day. It was not Nick Saban's dad, but it was rather Maya Angelou who said, "I have learned that people will forget what you have said, and people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." Be that change in someone's world. Long ago, when I worked at the ASD High School, I challenged our staff to maintain something called a feeling of relentless optimism. That is an unfailing belief that everything will eventually work out to be in a positive manner. Today, I challenge us all to have that very same outlook. And as we're finishing up, I will say this. I challenge you to leave a legacy. I want to tell you that I am thankful for my position at AIDB, and I've been here for over 30 years, but like some of you, not all of you, I've come to the stark realization that I have been on this earth longer than I will be on this earth. So we are blessed to have a future. And with that experience that we've had for so many years comes perspective. We should be concerned with what we have done to make things a better place for those who will remain long after we leave. Nick Saban, of course, I've said this, so I like to quote the great proverbial theologians of our time, Nick Saban. He had a lot of quotes over his time. Many of them I cannot share in front of you. But I will say in his most recent award, he got an Icon Award, and he has changed his philosophy to end with this. Who did you help today? That was the last thing he said as he walked off the stage, and said he wanted his players to start to change their mentality of, who did you help today? Which is a far cry from what he has typically said. Now, naturally, I like to quote the great communicator. That's Ronald Reagan for you younger people. He said, "Let us be sure that those who come after us will say of us in our time, that in our time we did everything that could be done. We finished the race, we kept them free, we kept the faith." It's not hyperbolic to say that some of us are fighting to keep AIDB strong, to keep AIDB the beacon of light for all of those who need her. I humbly ask you to join me in this effort. Through many accreditations, many evaluations, I will tell you that I know, because I read all of them, that our staff are our most valuable asset, and they have said that on numerous occasions. We want to make sure that our staff are protected, encouraged, and enlightened. We want you all to push yourselves to be, and all of your neighbors in your schools, to move from potential to product, from a no to a yes, and from good to great. Our students and our clients deserve this. With that, I want to say a great welcome to a tremendous year. I am thankful for each and every one of you, and God bless you, each and every one. For our keynote address, I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Mike Royer, who told me to keep it short. He is the president of the AIDB Foundation Board of Directors. During his career in broadcast television, Mike has become a household name with a voice we all recognize. He first worked in Indiana, then for 35 years in Birmingham before becoming the managing editor at WVUA 23 in Tuscaloosa. Mike was named Alabama's best television meteorologist 5 times by the Associated Press and has anchored Emmy Award-winning newscasts and received the Edward R. Murrow Award for Broadcast Excellence. We happily garnered some of Mike's free time upon his retirement last year when he accepted the role of president of the AIDB Foundation Board of Directors after serving AIDB faithfully for 16 years as a member of this foundation board of directors. Mike and his wife Amy live in Mountain Brook, and when he is not generously giving AIDB his time, they enjoy traveling together. Please help me welcome Mr. Mike Royer.
And so I get to follow Dr. Gilliam and Clara's beautiful singing and Ronald Garrett's masterful emceeing of the competitions that we enjoyed. And I get to follow Philip Brown's prayer. Mr. Brown, if I had your voice, I would have had a real career in broadcasting. Before I get into what I want to share with you today, I'd like to ask you to, those of you who pray, and I know that's almost everyone, to remember our friend Pat Green today. I met Pat before I really knew much at all about AIDB. I visited his riding ring, horse riding ring, that was a white fence next to his house, long before the equestrian facility was built. As many of you know, Pat's home recovering from some surgery. I love Pat Green, as I know many of you do, so remember him in your prayers. Well, what a great crowd it is to be in front of. I've noticed over the years, throughout my career, I've done public speaking for almost all of the career, that I draw a huge crowd when the crowd, for the most part, is required to attend. I pack the place when you've got to be there, and I'm pretty proud of that. Later today, when people go, where did you speak? Was there a good crowd? I'll go, it was packed. There was people standing in the back just to hear me speak. No one will go, well, did they have to be there? And we'll just let that part go. We'll just let that go. If you watched me over the years in Birmingham television, thank you. You kept me employed. You helped put 2 boys through college. My wife Amy and I will celebrate our 30th anniversary in a few weeks in September. We're excited about that. I'm certainly not here to give anyone advice on longevity or relationships, but for us, for Amy and me, I think the key has been that we both love me very much. And we just try to focus on making me happy, and that seems to work for us. I did, however, overhear her talking to a friend not long ago when she said, and I'm pretty sure I heard her correctly, she said, if I had killed him the first time I thought about it, I would have gotten out of prison 2 years ago. So I was on television for 40 years, 5 in Indiana where I'm from, 10 at Channel 6 in Birmingham. I got to work with some wonderful people that I'll probably mention. And then 35 years at Channel 13. My 10 years at Channel 6 was like a lake at sunset, calm, same ownership, same bosses the whole time. I thought, boy, if my career stays like this is going to be a piece of cake. And then I went to Channel 13, and it was more like a hurricane. The station was sold 5 times while I worked there. I worked for 12 general managers, and I lost track of how many news directors. But it was good for me. It affected my career and my life in a variety of ways, almost all good. And so I have a lot to be thankful for, and I count my blessings. Recently, I took part in the celebration of the 75th anniversary of both Channel 13 first. They were the first on the air by a couple of months, and then a celebration at Channel 6. And I enjoyed that, but it reminded me mostly of the rapid passage of time. And it reminded me, as I've already mentioned, how blessed I was in my 40-year career. I spent 40 years doing what I loved and what I sort of came to believe I was built to do. And I just can't be more thankful for my career. Now in retirement, Amy and I are enjoying each other. We are empty nesters. We had been warned for years about how challenging and difficult that would be. We haven't found that yet. We love our boys, but we're pretty much glad they're gone. We're doing just fine. We're doing just fine. At Channel 6, they showed a video of me doing weather there when I was 27 years old. And oh, I hate seeing old video of me doing weather. My students at the university would say, I found a video of you online. You were doing the weather at Channel 6. It was 1982. Do you want to see it? And I would say, absolutely not. I don't want to see it. And I was reminded, too, that the veteran broadcasters, many of you know, Joe Langston and Bill Boland and Tom York and Everett Holly, and I could go on with other names of people I worked with, how good they were to me, what great mentors they were. They did not have mentors. They got on television when no one knew how to do television, and so they just were thrown in front of cameras, but they shared their knowledge and their experience with us. Now at age 72, I watch local news and I don't think these people are as good as we were. And the truth is, they're just as good as we were at their age. They need time, they need maturity and experience, and that will come in time to all of them. The real lesson that I learned over the years that has served me well, I worked at the university for 7 years teaching a class, and in their TV station they trained students. I worked with students who thought they wanted to be broadcasters. Many of them are all across the country. There were a few I tried to talk out of getting into broadcasting. But I've learned to never judge anyone by how they perform their work the first time they do it, usually when they're young. But whenever someone takes on a new task, they need to be given some time. They need to be given some forgiveness. When they make a mistake or two, they will learn and they will get better, and their experience will pay off. I learned this when I was filling in for Tom York on his morning show back in, I suppose, around 85. I've shared this story on campus before at a smaller gathering, but Tom York was good to me, and he named me as his permanent fill-in when he was off, and he was off quite a bit late in his career. But when he would be off, I would fill in on the morning show. It had been on for 30 years, and on Fridays, the manager of the comedy club in Birmingham would bring the headliner to the comedy club, and maybe near the end of the hour, you'd do a 5-minute interview with the comedian, and you'd yuck it up with him, and he'd maybe tell a joke, but he saved his jokes for the comedy club. You give the phone number to call. Well, on Wednesday of a week, the producer called and said, "You're filling in for Tom Friday." I said, "Yeah, I'm planning on it. I've got it on my calendar." Well, it's July. There's nothing much going on. And on this Friday's show, we're going to invite our advertisers to all come, bring friends and family. We can handle about 70 people in the studio. And we've asked Bruce Ayers, the manager of the comedy club, owner of the club, to bring all 3 comics to the station. And we're going to have all 3 do about 7 minutes of their act and just have a fun time. I said, well, that sounds great. So Friday arrived, and Bruce Ayers brought all 3 comedians up. The first guy was named Blake Clark. He wore Army fatigues. He was a Vietnam vet, and much of his act was about what a crummy soldier he was. And he was very funny, gravelly voice. If I could show you a picture of him, many of you would recall who he was. Middle guy was a black comedian named Rod Henderson. He did jokes about the difference between black people and white people. Not, I don't believe, offensive to anyone. He was just funny. He was very, very funny. So they were going to do 7 minutes each. We were going to begin with the headliner. Now, the headliner had never been, or the opening act, I should say. The opening act had never been an opening act. This was his first time. He had never been on television. He had just quit his job in Georgia and was going out on the road trying to become a comic. And he came up to me 5 minutes before the program was to begin live and said, Mike, I can't do this. I said, what do you mean? He goes, I think I'm going to be sick. I said, oh, are you ill? Do I need to get you something? No, I'm just so nervous. I don't have 7 minutes of material. I may have 4.5 minutes of jokes. That's all I've got, and half of them aren't funny. I'm just kind of learning how to do this. I said, I'm going to introduce you. Don't worry about 7 minutes. You get up there, do your jokes, and the moment you look at me and make eye contact with me, I'll be next to you. I'll ask you some questions. We'll laugh. I'll talk about what a great future you have, and we'll fill your 7 minutes. Don't worry about it. I introduced him. He went up on front of the cameras, 3 cameras right in his face, 70 people sitting out there, and you could tell he was nervous. He wasn't hilarious. He was kind of funny. A couple of his jokes got a laugh, so he was fine. And then he stared at me like his eyes said, get up here now. And I rushed up next to him, and we talked for a minute, got him off of there, and then we continued on and filled up the hour with comedy. I may have not mentioned the name of the opening act. His name was Jeff Foxworthy. And I don't know if you've noticed, but he got over that. And I wish we could make him a donor to AIDB for all the money he made on comedy. So that was a reminder of don't judge things immediately. And I want to share that theme with you. And to do that, I'd like to invite you to go along with me to a place in my home area. Clay City, Indiana is my hometown, a town of 950 people. There were 950 people there when I lived there. There are about 950 people there today. It's never grown. It's never diminished. It's still my hometown of Clay City, Indiana. We're going to visit a place called the Lost 40. Lost 40 is the place I want to take you. And before I tell you about the Lost 40, you need to know a little bit about my dad because he's an integral part of the Lost 40 story. My father passed away 2 years ago at the age of 93. He was kind of, well, he was a great father, no complaints at all. He was pretty strict, but every father I knew was pretty strict in the 50s and 60s. You educators might be interested to know, my father was one of the innovators, the creators of that punishment technique called time out. You're familiar with that? My dad would take time out from whatever he was doing to wear out our backsides. And it was very successful for him. It worked well. My favorite story about my dad, though, was the year my brother Jim was in the 8th grade and I was in the 6th grade, and Jim brought home the book reading list for the school year. And on that list was a book called The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. How many have read that book? It was required reading at Clay City Junior High and high school. My dad had not read the book, but our preacher had preached about the book. Our preacher had preached about the list that was sent home with books that he didn't think kids ought to be reading, and that's really all my dad needed to know. And my dad did find out more about the book. He announced at supper one night that the next night he was going to the school board meeting. They had a monthly school board meeting, and he was going, and we were going with him. Why he took us, at the time I didn't understand. In hindsight, I do understand and did understand. They had their meeting, and at the end of the meeting, they said, does anyone have anything they want to say? And my dad in the back of the room, by the way, this is the first school board meeting he'd ever attended, he stood up and he said, I just came tonight to tell you that I've read the list of books that you've assigned my son to read this year, and I'm just here to tell you that I don't think my boys should have to read trash like this. And he named the book and the author and all of that. And if you've read the book, you know it is pretty trashy. It's trashy by today's standards. It was really trashy back then. And so Dad got that off his chest, and he accomplished what he wanted. He just got it said. And Dr. Bennett, the school superintendent, said, Mr. Royer, thanks for coming. We've not seen you here before. We're glad you came. And we appreciate your concerns about the book. And if he had just stopped there and dismissed the meeting, we would have gotten out of there scot-free. But Dr. Bennett couldn't resist, and he said, by the way, Mr. Royer, your boys will read worse things than that on the boys' restroom wall. And my brother and I scooted a little further down in our seats, and my dad said, thank you, I'm aware of that. And the day that you make the boys' restroom wall required reading, I'll be back. I thought that was pretty good for a dirt farmer from Indiana. So that's my dad. I can't talk about my mom. If you've lost your mom, you'll understand this. I can't tell a mom story without my voice doing this. I need to write a book about mom because I think I could get through it typing. But I was blessed to have wonderful family and wonderful parents. Well, now let's go to the Eel River bottom. The Eel River runs through west central Indiana. It finally hits the Wabash River that goes down to the Ohio River. That is the name of the river, and therefore the Clay City mascot is the Eels, the Clay City Eels. We were required in Indiana, as you may not be surprised, to play basketball. If you could function at all, you had to play basketball in Indiana. So the Eel River bottom is down from Clay City, right near the river, and it is the best farm ground in Indiana and some of the best farm ground I've ever seen. And we're going to go there, and I want to tell you a little bit about the Lost 40. I've never asked a farmer in Alabama, how do you name your farms? One of you that is familiar with it can probably tell me, but where I'm from, a farm is called by the last person that owned it. Mike, go plow the Marshall 40. We bought the farm from somebody named Marshall. Go down and disc that 80 acres on Guynoth. Guynoth was my dad's aunt. He bought the farm from Guynoth, and that's how they're named. The Lost 40, though, has always been called the Lost 40. It's still called the Lost 40 today because it is as flat as Indiana farm ground is, a 40-acre, almost perfect square, but it had never been farmed. The ownership was confusing for a while. It had trees and thickets on it, wet spots, some low spots. It had never been farmed. It had never been cleared. Dane and Dudley Burns, who operated the Clay City Farmers Merchants Bank, loaned my dad $20,000. He had nothing to put up as collateral, but they knew my dad and they knew he'd be good for it someday. That figures to $500 an acre for that farm. Other people, they didn't even auction it off. Dad bought it for $20,000 that he borrowed. What he did have, though, was a 1954 pale blue International truck, 2 used chainsaws, and a 12-year-old boy named Jim and a 10-year-old boy named Mike. And so we started clearing the Lost 40 by hand. Dad would cut branches and trees down into small enough pieces that Jim and I could drag into piles. We'd have piles of brush all over that field in time. And when they got big enough, my dad would put diesel fuel or used oil on them, light them, and then as the sun would go down, after school or in the summer, we would watch those fires burn down. You wouldn't just leave fires in a field, but we'd let them burn down to where they weren't going to spread or do anything. And we would sit on the tailgate of that truck, and we would watch those fires burn down, and my dad would talk about a variety of things. My dad loved reading and loved poetry, and he would talk about all kinds of things, our futures, what our hopes and dreams were. But he talked a lot about that piece of dirt, that 40-acre farm, and that how someday, through hard work and dedication, and maybe save us some money to improve it even more, it would become a fine farm, and someday we would be proud of the Lost 40. A 10 and 12-year-old had a little trouble picturing that because we were dirty and tired and hungry and worn out, and we were sitting there watching these piles burn down with much more to be done. Well, we cleared it as best we could. Dad saved up enough money to get Lex Salter to bring his D8 Caterpillar up, and he pushed the big stumps out, and we hauled those off or burned them. And finally, after a couple of years of owning the Lost 40, my dad planted corn on it for the first time. The rows were crooked because he had to go around wet spots and some piles of brush that were still there, and the corn came up, and it was not the color corn ought to be. It was a light green, not very pretty. The ears maybe got that big, and we cut the first crop down and hauled it up to the home place and fed it to livestock. It wasn't good enough to really harvest. The next year, the corn was a little better. The next year, we drilled beans, and I think we did wheat a couple of years. I know we did, because we put up hay there. Dr. Gilliam, putting up hay in 90-degree temperatures will make you dedicate yourself to college, maybe the mission field, anything to move on. And Dad was right. Each year, the corn got a little bit better, and the farm got a little bit better. And finally, Dad really pulled the trigger on spending a good bit of money to have tile installed in the field to drain all the water off so we could get in and plant on the Lost 40 when all the farmers around us were starting to. We didn't have to hope that the rain would stop and the water would just drain away. It was drained off properly by tile. This year, right now, as we speak, the corn on the Lost 40 is probably about 7 feet tall. The corn, it is in corn this year. I'll be up there soon to look at it and do some stuff. Every stalk has 2 ears, and instead of little ears, the ears are about that big. And this year, barring something happening between now and harvest time will be in October and November, the Lost 40 will produce somewhere around 220 bushels of corn per acre. And I checked the price of corn, it's around $4.20 a bushel right now. And so simple math, and you can check me on this, Dr. Gillum, will confirm that the Lost 40 will produce an income this year that nearly doubles what Dad paid for that farm in 1 year. Had we judged the Lost 40 by how it looked the first day Dad took us down there and said, boys, I bought this farm, we're going to turn it into something we can be proud of, we would not have believed it. So Dad was right. I'm glad we did all that work. Today the Lost 40 belongs to me and my wife. Someday it'll belong to my son, Jack. Brother Jim and I had our doubts, but Dad didn't. And I wonder if, like me, you tend to make the mistake of judging things too soon. I wonder if you have someone in your department that's maybe they're new, maybe they're not performing quite up to where they want to and where you need them to. I would suggest to you, with all respect, that if you judge them today and make up your mind today that this is as good as this employee is ever going to be, you'll be making a mistake for yourself and selling that person short. Like Jeff Foxworthy and like the Lost 40, I would suggest that you not judge too soon. And please understand, I don't know much at all about your jobs. I know they're important. I'm very aware of all the good work you do, but I challenge you to be the best you can this year. Leaders, if you're a leader and you know who you are, lead. Don't be afraid to lead. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. Don't be afraid of making a decision. Some of the greatest bosses I worked for in my career were the ones that took all the information, made a decision, right or wrong, but they were leading and they made a decision and we followed. Don't be afraid to make a decision and be good leaders. So in closing, here's my suggestion for us as we maybe take to heart not judging too quickly. I'd like to recommend, and I guess this will need trustee approval, I'd like to recommend that we get as many buses as we need. All of us load up in the curved driveway over there by Manning. As many buses as we need. I guess the easiest way would be to go into Birmingham, get on 65 North. We'll go to Nashville, and we could do this. I'd suggest a few weeks from now. A few weeks from now, let's do that. We'll go through Nashville. We'll get on I-24 north of Nashville, go west past Fort Campbell, past Hopkinsville. Then we'll end up crossing the Ohio River in Evansville. We'll go up through Evansville, then Vincennes, Indiana. Then we'll go through a little town where the first TV station I worked at is located. That's Farmersburg. Just past Farmersburg, we'll take a right on State Road 246. Amanda, are you getting this? You got it? I knew you were getting this. We'll turn right on 246. We'll go, maybe 10 miles. We'll cross the Eel River, so we'll know we're in the right area. We'll turn left on the first gravel road after you cross the river. Then we only have a mile to go, 1 mile up that gravel road, and we'll stop the buses. We'll all get out and walk the Lost 40. Now, you got to be careful, you city folks. Corn leaves will cut you if you're not careful, so you got to keep your arm up in front of you. But we'll walk the Lost 40, and let me tell you what you'll see. If we go in a few weeks, the green corn will begin turning brown. The ears that are about this big, that have been like this all summer, will start drooping down. It's almost time to harvest that corn. And I want to tell you a secret only farmers know. You may not even believe this. Did you know you can hear the corn grow? Who kind of knows that? Okay. My grandpa Royer used to say the corn is as green is as black as your hat. I mean, it's so dark green, it's almost black. And he'd say, it looks so good, you can almost hear the corn grow. About now, when the ears are finishing filling out, and the heat is in the 90s, and the humidity is very high, and God has blessed you with the rain that you need, you can actually hear a slight popping sound in the field. And if it's really quiet, and you're standing out in the middle of the field and just shush everybody around you and listen carefully, you'll hear the corn grow. So that's where my heart is. Do you understand that? I bet you do. Because in my mind, I can see that field in 1962. And losing the family now, it makes it a little more emotional for me, but the sound of that corn growing, the value of that farm today, and it's there because someone saw potential. They didn't make up their mind that this farm will never amount to anything. They made up their mind that with hard work and dedication, it will be worth something to a Royer for a long, long time. The Lost 40 name will never be changed. Its name is the Lost 40, but it's not lost anymore at all. I hope you have the best year ever here at AIDB. I've got a really small job, just attending a few meetings here and coming here once in a while. And I have fallen in love with this place, and that means I have fallen in love with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gilliam, and thank you, Mr. Royer. Your words will seriously continue to be an inspiration to us all year. We thank you both for pouring your heart into the Alabama Institute for Deaf and Blind and for everything that you do to ensure that we are successful. So thank you, sir. Now, we are honored to recognize those who have been AIDB's biggest supporters in their own right, the employees who are celebrating their 25th anniversary with the Alabama Institute for Deaf and Blind. On behalf of AIDB, I want to congratulate each of you who have reached this significant milestone. We acknowledge and appreciate that the foundation of our mission to prepare individuals to reach their limitless potential by providing superior staff, facilities, training, and programs is built upon your commitment to AIDB. This is truly an amazing group of people. Employees who have reached this milestone receive a beautiful engraved crystal bowl. When your name is called, please join Dr. Gilliam here at the front for a photo, and then proceed to the entrance of Johnson Hall where there will be a group photo. In order to ensure that your bowl is not damaged, you will pose with Dr. Gilliam with a prop bowl, and your bowl will be delivered to you later today. It has happened. So, Dr. Gilliam, if you will join us up front, please. First, I would like to ask Carrie Dean to come to the front. Next, Miss Patricia Hicks. Patricia Martin. Okay. Andrea Morris. Joey Neighbors. Sheila Pennington. Phyllis Phillips. And Wendy Sanders. Again, thank you so much for your hard work and dedication to our students and consumers. You are limitless. Again, thank you. Thank you all for your wonderful, limitless spirit that makes AIDB such a truly wonderful place. A free grab-and-go lunch and AIDB t-shirt will be given to employees who attended Convocation within the McFarland Auditorium today. Please go to the front lawn here at the Alabama School for the Deaf to pick up your items. We have several stations set up under the white tent. Please form multiple lines so that you can move through quickly. You must turn in the tickets that are attached to the programs you received when you arrived today. 1 ticket for lunch and 1 ticket for 1 t-shirt. Hold up, everybody's making a mad dash here. In order for all attendees to receive a lunch and a t-shirt, only 1 item per person will be given. Tickets can't be mixed and matched to receive 2 items. Employees